Hi, good morning. I'm Pam Fox. Thanks for tuning into my channel. So this month we're doing 30 days of home cooking plant-based whole foods. 30 days home cooking whole foods challenge. That's what it's called. So if you want to go over to the Up Your Game Facebook page and check that out, please feel free to do so. For those of you that are joining in, today's video is going to be my testimony about what happened to me when I went on a plant-based diet in terms of my health. So I know what it's like to be sick, and I now know what it's like to be healthy. And so I've just made a list of about 10 different things that I overcame when I went on a plant-based diet. And I'm just going to talk about those. And I'm trying to make this video short because I'm getting low on space. So if I sound rushed, that's why. So the first thing I noticed when I went on a plant-based diet, so the reason I went on a plant-based diet, the main reason was because I'd had GERD. When I think I turned about 40 years old, I started to have problems with the acid reflux and just the bloating and the constipation and all of those things. And I'd gotten to the point where I was going mad with these symptoms. It was just around the clock. I felt miserable all the time. And it made a lot of sense to go on this plant-based, this high fiber diet, high fiber, high water diet that could clear up this condition. And I'd heard a lot of testimonies from people who had done just that. So I finally mustered up the courage to try it just for 30 days. I can do it for 30 days. I was really scared and intimidated by the idea of going on a plant-based diet, but I convinced myself that I could try it for 30 days. And I'm going to tell you that within 3 days, my GERD-associated symptoms cleared up, with one exception, and that was my chronic belching. And if you are a chronic belcher, I have a lot of videos about this. It really came down to another condition I had, which is known as a hiatal hernia. So you can go and check those out. And I was able to overcome my chronic belching by addressing the hiatal hernia. So that's something separate. But my GERD, within just a couple of days, everything cleared up and was running smoothly, and I was comfortable and I felt amazing. The other thing that cleared up just within a few days, I used to have chronic cystic acne where I would get really large pimples, mostly on my chin, but in other places as well. Hard, take a long time to heal. They're red, they're large, they're mountainous. You can't cover them up with makeup. When they blister, then they scab, and then when they heal, they leave a purple mark. They were just ugly. And as soon as one would start to heal, another one would start to rise. And this was ongoing, constant for 3 or 4 years. And I'd lived most of my life without any acne or pimple problems. So this started in my 30s. That cleared up on a plant-based diet. Within just days, it started to heal, and then it had no new outbreaks. Now, I do get acne, even to this day. I wake up every morning, and I usually have 2 or 3 small whiteheads on my face. I wash my face with a whitehead and with a washcloth, and they're gone. And then I'm left with these little red blemishes where the whitehead was, and I can live with that. I can live with that compared to that chronic cystic acne. So that cleared up really, really quick. The other thing I noticed right away, like within a week, was this. I used to have sinus drainage pretty much 24/7, just always the phlegm, always just back everywhere, just the sinus drainage constantly. I noticed that was gone. It was just gone. And then at about week 2, what happened was, and if you follow my videos, I talk about all this stuff in my older videos. This is why I started this channel, is because this was such a miraculous thing that happened to me, seemingly. It's like, how can this be? I've been trying my whole life to address these issues with different things, seeing specialists, trying treatments, alternative treatments, superfoods, supplements, different things, and nothing ever worked. And here I just tried this plant-based diet for 30 days, and things were just clearing up left and right. So I was in a storeroom at work, which normally I keep a mask hanging on the wall that I would wear, a dust mask, because I'm severely allergic to dust. And I'd been in there for about 15 minutes, and I noticed I'd forgot to put my mask on, but I also noticed I wasn't symptomatic. I didn't have any itching, I didn't have any dripping, I was breathing fine. I thought, oh, that's strange. So I decided to stay in there, and I stayed in there for 2 hours and worked with no dust mask on, and I was totally symptom-free. After about 2 hours, I started to get a little bit of symptoms. So at that point, I knew I was really on to something special. And honestly, it was kind of scary. You always hear something's too good to be true. It probably is. And so I was just like, oh, what is going on here? But a couple weeks later, I went to my daughter's bridal shower. the hostess had cats in her house, and I knew that was a great test for me. And I was there for 2 hours before I started to get my first symptom. And then at about 2.5 hours, I sneezed, and then I left. But for me to be around cats for 2.5 hours and symptom free is, again, it's like a miracle. Normally 10 minutes is about all I can last before I start to wheeze and just severely compromised breathing, sneezing, everything's itching and inflamed. So to go 2.5 hours totally comfortable I was so excited. And that really just motivated me to continue on this diet and stay true to it because it was working. So allergies and asthma, I've had allergies and asthma my whole life. And the other thing that I noticed right away on the plant-based diet was my energy levels. My energy levels just went to heights I didn't even know possible. So for me, I'd had an official diagnosis of chronic fatigue. I was also diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was a really young child. Those two often go hand in hand. I also had the chronic allergies. I took a lot of medications. A side effect of medication is oftentimes fatigue. I was on antidepressants for several years. Also, go hand in hand with fatigue. So I had a lot of things contributing to the fatigue. My diet, which I thought was pretty healthy, really wasn't. I wasn't getting in enough carbs, which is our body's #1 preferred fuel source. So I went on this plant-based diet. I was on raw till 4, which is a lot of carbs. It's raw food, raw fruit for breakfast, raw fruit for lunch, lots of it. And my energy levels just soared. It was amazing. It was amazing. So now I don't do raw till 4. I do more of a diet called the starch solution. And my energy levels are still really good. I'm really happy with them. So I began to notice my sleep was less interrupted. I was having no more shoulder and hip pain, which was really common for me to have shoulder and hip pain, again, due to my rheumatoid arthritis. I have had itching skin for many, many years. No hives no like dryness or flaking or anything like that, but just really itching skin. Sometimes I would scratch it to where it would almost bleed. That started to go away after a month or so. I still get itchy skin, but not like it was. Depression is something I had a pretty severe bout of depression for a period of my life. And then I had several years after that where I would just have moments of depression, or I would have bouts of depression for no real reason, where I just wanted to go home, go to bed, not smile, not laugh, not engage. That was pretty typical for me. And I noticed that I was like, when's the last time I don't get depressed anymore? And I think that, the brain connection, the brain gut connection, and the glucose connection, our body needs that sugar. It needs that glucose. And when you're on a diet that's low carb and you're not getting in those, essential sugars, the glucose, the carbohydrate, then yeah, you're probably going to have issues with your mental stability. Colds. So colds was something I commonly used to get a lot. And when I would get sick, I would get really sick. I would always miss 2 or 3 days of work. And I would usually get sick at least twice a year, sometimes 3 or 4 times a year. Now I rarely get sick. And when I do, I hardly notice I'm sick, and I don't even miss work. So getting sick is a whole new thing for me now. It's rare and it's mild. And then the last thing is I have a condition called hidradenitis suppurativa, which is a skin condition. I'm not going to go into it. I did a whole video on it. You can go check it out if you want, or if you have it and you want to hear more in depth about it. But I noticed when I went on my plant-based diet right away that my outbreaks were milder and less frequent. And now I've been vegan for almost 3 years, and my outbreaks I haven't had an outbreak in probably almost a year. It's been a really long time. I can't remember the last time I've had an outbreak. So I just don't even have the outbreaks anymore. So that's about it. I might be missing a few things, but those are the main ones. And I just have to say, for me, testimonies are very important to me. When I first considered going on a plant-based diet, I read and watched as many as I could here on the internet of what people were saying about going on a plant-based diet and what it did for them. And that was very impactful for me to try it. And so that's why I'm here, and that's why I do this. It's really changed my life. And I'm going to link some of those testimonies below, not individual testimonies, but some sites that you can go to. There's two. One is Star McDougallers, people who went on a plant-based diet. This is what happened. Another is Forks Over Knives. They have a testimony section on their page. People who went on a plant-based diet, and this is what happened. Now, I know, guys, that not everybody that goes on a plant-based diet is going to have the miraculous results that I have, but a lot of people do. So in other words, you know, a lot of times you'll see those diet pills and you'll see the little, you know, results not common or whatever. You'll see something, you know, or this not typical for everybody. Plant-based diets, making people feel better in general, is pretty typical. It might not cure every ailment. It might not, you know, fully cure everything every time, but most people will report that even if their ailment doesn't completely get better, that they are thriving and that they're feeling better, that they're doing better. And so some conditions may take longer to heal. You know, you have to be patient, you have to be consistent with the diet. It just depends on how sick you are and how much damage you've done to your body. You know, you have to remember that sometimes it took many, many years to get to the state that you're at, the current physical condition you're at of poor health. And so you can't expect, you know, that to just get better instantly. Some things are going to take longer than others. You know, a weak heart and heart disease, they find that a plant-based diet can start to cure that pretty quickly. Symptoms of diabetes and associated with diabetes can start to remedy and heal fairly quickly. You know, your blood glucose, sugar levels, and all of that. So some things can start to feel better pretty quickly, and then other things may take time, and some things, you know, may be beyond, you know, the point of no return. I don't know. So that's my encouragement for you today, just a little bit of inspiration just on how when I went on a plant-based diet, you know, what it did for me. So I do thank you for watching, and I do encourage you to continue with your home cooking and your whole plant foods. Thanks for watching.